Okay, previously we have solved Natas 29. Okay, this time we're solving Natas 30. Okay, so Natas 30 and enter. Okay, looks like we have another login situation here. Okay, let's type something and let's see what happens. It says fail. Okay, and the second thing you need to notice is this one. Okay, so it is saying index.pl. Okay, so let's try some kind of single quotes here. Okay, it doesn't work. Okay, let's try double quotes. It doesn't work. Okay, so we need to do something specific to Perl. Okay, so we cannot use single quotes or double quotes just like we do in normal application. Okay, so let's try and Google for Perl SQL injection here. Okay, and you can try a couple of these things, and the one which was useful was this one. Okay, is the Perl database connection vulnerable to SQL injection? Okay, so after going through this particular thing, so you can see whichever is vulnerable to SQL injection, and let's see if we have any kind of a source code here. Okay, yeah, we do have a source code. Let's go through that. And initially we have a shebang here, and below that we have our HTML. Okay, and this will be our Perl server side code. Okay, initially it is looking for a post request. Okay, equals to request method, and parameters username and password. So it is going to connect initially with the database with the Natas 30 and its password. Okay, and if there are any errors, it is going to raise that error, and next it is going to select from users where username equals to this one. Okay, this seems to be similar to which we see here, right? Okay, so this is one, and password also has similar kind of parameter. Okay, let's continue. After you've done with the query, so the query is being prepared again. Okay, and then this is being executed. Okay, and it is going to be fetching something, and that fetching something is going to be in this particular variable, and it is going to check if this variable has something, which means this fetch is going to return something to it. It can be either true or false or 0 or 1, anything like that. And once it says it exists, then it is going to say win, and then here is your result, and it's going to return that particular thing. And most probably when it is selecting everything from users where username equals to something and password equals to something, okay, it is going to fetch that particular database. Okay, so that particular row. Okay, so it's probably going to bring us the username and password here. Okay, or else it is going to simply say fail. Okay, and then it is going to finish, and then it is going to disconnect. So this is what's going to happen, and what we need to do to bypass this particular thing. If I scroll down here, it is saying from the DBA docs, means this particular thing, calling a quote as list with SQL integer as a second parameter will return an unquoted value. So what we need to do now is, instead of normal parameters, we need to use some sort of list. Okay, so what they have done is, since SQL integer equals to 4, so I think this particular thing they have got from DBA docs. Okay, so let's go here, and let's check if they are telling the truth. I have found one more thing that is similar to this. So this is similar Perl DBI thing, which is for developers. Okay, if you go through this, you'll find SQL integer and all. Okay, the value of SQL integer. Okay, all these are SQL integers from here to this one. Okay, so this is again float. This is a different type. So what we can do is we can keep any of these numbers as a second parameter as shown here. Okay, so SQL integer equals to 4. They have kept 4 here as second parameter, and they want to give a list, okay, instead of a normal parameter. Let's try to give this, okay, and copy. Let's go here and let's capture that particular Natas. Okay, so let's send it to repeater, and if you see here we have username equals to Natas31. Okay, and password is this one. Okay, so you need to URL encode this, control U to URL encode, and let's send and see what happens. Did we get anything? Okay, we just got fail again. So this seems to be not working. So we can do one more thing, which is like giving it as JSON. Okay, let's try this. Okay, now this has become a JSON parameter. Looks like everything is done. Let's send this and see what happens. Okay, when I clicked on send, it automatically gave its own proper indentations and arrangements. Okay, so let's see if we got anything in return. Okay, so we got nothing this time. Okay, we got nothing. Let's see it in browser. Okay, show response in browser, copy, let's go to browser, paste and hit enter. Okay, looks like we got no reply this time. So it's kind of making progress. We don't see that fail now. Okay, instead of this lol, okay, let's try to keep some thing here. Okay, and let's see what happens. This is the same thing we got. We didn't get any kind of fail. Okay, fail message. We didn't get any kind of a fail message. Okay, so what we will do is we'll try to give the same thing, but we'll try to code this time. Okay, I think while sending through this something is being blocked. So let's try to code this using Python. This is a simple code. I try to minimize as much complexity as possible, so I'll try to do it as simple as possible. Okay, so for this I just used VS Code. Okay, let's try to import request. Okay, so this is the only module that we require here because this is going to send requests. Okay, and we need a form of authentication, right? So for authentication, what we need to do? Authentication. Okay, so we usually authenticate using username and password. So this is going to be HTTP basic authentication, right? So for that we need to bring something from this module. Okay, so request dot auth. Okay, and HTTP basic auth. Okay, so this is the function that we are bringing from this request module. Okay, so in this function we need to keep the username and password. Okay, so let's keep username as Natas30 because we are in Natas30, so we need this particular authentication to log in. Okay, so username is this, and let's give the password. So what is the password? Let's grab this. Okay, so we have authenticated. Okay, so authentication is done. So we need to use this particular variable whenever necessary. Okay, for authentication. Let's give the URL. Okay, so which URL should you give here? So the one which is authenticating this, right? So let's go to Burp Suite. So this particular URL is being used. Okay, so let's right click and copy URL. Okay, and let's use double quotes and then paste it. Okay, this is the URL that is being used. And then next what we need to use is we need to use some sort of parameters. Okay, let's give params. And what are the parameters that we are giving? So okay, let's go to Burp Suite. So these are the parameters that we are using, right? So one is username parameter and password parameter. Okay, so we'll just try to use the same thing here. Okay, in the flower brackets, let's give username. Okay, just like we do here. Okay, just like we did here. Okay, so which are we trying to access? Natas 31. Natas 31. And so what is the password? So for password, we need to give it as a list. Okay, in this particular list, we need to give something that goes false initially, that returns some kind of 0. Okay, you can give anything here. So let's give HM Cyber Academy. Okay, so this is going to be the false password. Okay, so adding to this, we need to give something that makes it true. Okay, you can give 1 or true or anything like that. Okay, so this is false and this is true. This particular whole statement will return true. Okay, so that's why we keep it. And we have to give some integer, SQL integer, which can be either 4 or 2 or 3, anything like that. So as we have seen over here, we can give anything from 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, so let's give it 4 as of now, because it is the particular SQL integer. Okay, that's what they are saying, and later we will change and we will check that one also. Okay, so we have defined our request. Okay, so we need to combine all of this into a post request. Okay, so let's go to response. Okay, so here we are requesting, so we will type request dot post. Okay, this is going to send a post request and get the output and save it here. Okay, so in this particular thing, let's give the URL first. Okay, and use data. So in this particular data, we have to give parameters. Okay, and next we need to give some form of authentication. Okay, so for this we have to give authentication, this one. So our request is just like this one right now. Okay, whichever this is. All right, so what we can do now is we'll have to see the response. So what the response is, so here it is just saving it in this particular variable. Okay, so we need to see its response. Let's print that response. Okay, print response dot text. Okay, we have saved it, and let's use Ctrl S to save it, and let's see if it actually works. Okay, let's see Python. Okay, 30.py, which is this one, and let's see what happens. Okay, what do we have here? Looks like we didn't get any kind of response here. Okay, this is the same thing. So why is that? Because the main thing we did wrong here is to keep this as a single statement. Okay, so these are actually divided into couple of statements. Okay, this is a particular string or this one. Okay, so since we have divided this into a string and this one, okay, so now this is going to work. Okay, so let's use Ctrl S to save it, and let's bring up arrow. Okay, and let's hit enter. All right, we got Natas 31 and this is our password. All right, so this is working, right? So let's try with something else. Okay, let's try with 1. Okay, and let's see if it works. Okay, this is working. And okay, and let's try to keep 2, because we have already seen this 2 is also a numeric, and this 3 is also decimal, and this 5 is also small int. Okay, so can we use 2 instead of 4? Okay, so let's save it, and let's use the same script, and yes, we do. Okay, as you can see, this Python script is not very complicated. Okay, so first you need to define the authentication process. Okay, and then you give which URL it is, and you give the data. Okay, and you create one request and you just print that request. Okay, this is very simple, right? Let's test one more thing. So we said we want this to be a false statement, right? So what we can do is we can also give false directly, okay, or true. Okay, so this should also give our solution. Okay, let's save it and let's run this. All right, we got it. Okay, so try to understand the SQL statements. Okay, so first one has to be false and this one has to be true, and we cannot give directly as true. Okay, so this is going to check it as a part of a string. Okay, but not as a statement. If you give something like this, this is not going to work. Okay, let's save this. Okay, and hit enter. As you can see, it is not working. Okay, the only thing that works is something that makes it false or true. Okay, so previously this one had make false and this one has true. Okay, I hope you get it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.